Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my channel. My name is Jonathan. For those of you new to my channel and to my returning subscribers, welcome back, my friends. Welcome back. In today's video, I want to talk about discovering your soul life lessons, discovering on a soul level what you're meant to experience here on earth. Let's get started. For those of you who've been watching my channel for an extended period of time now, you've obviously noticed that I have always put a lot of emphasis on healing your past. I've always put a lot of emphasis on creating more and more self-love and self-worth, peeling back the layers and discovering who you are, continuing to raise up your vibrations. And I'm going to be honest, until now I haven't felt guided to share what I'm going to share with you right now, which is going to help you understand all these events, especially painful events that you've had in your life, all these very difficult periods in your life at a much deeper level. And I'm telling you this, I'm going to go way out there as far as what I'm going to share with you. I just want you to have an open mind, okay? And watch it all the way through to fully understand the message that I'm going to get across, because it's truly going to help you to discover what lessons you're meant to learn and how you are to move forward. And that is what's honestly, that's what's going to bring forth everything that you desire, because you're going to be able to now align yourself on your life's path. And an example, okay, have you had any visions about your past lives? You know, whether it's through your dreams, through meditations, or just spontaneous downloads. You know, you're just walking, you're just doing something, and all of a sudden you get a vision. You know, have you had any of these where it's tied into also you become emotional? Oftentimes it'll be something, some type of experience you've had in your previous life that's going to make you become very emotional. And for me, for a long time in my life, I honestly felt like there was a curse in my family. For a long time in my life, I had trouble with having enough self-love, enough self-worth. I had low confidence. I fell into that victim mentality. I attracted very to this 3D reality would perceive as negative life experiences. But now I no longer see it that way. There are easy life lessons and there are painful life lessons. It all depends on what's your emotional state of being in that moment, combined with how are your thoughts aligning with this. That's going to decide whether it'll be a pleasant or, I guess, an unpleasant life experience. And that's the thing, is for me, it's once I started to have visions about my previous lives, and especially my last one. I've had many visions over many centuries of my lives that I've had, but it's once I was really able to tap into my last life experience, okay, that's when I was able to start learning all these very valuable life lessons as to why things have been turning out the way that they have, why it just seems like I've struggled for so long during this journey that I'm on. And that's the thing, is my last life, it was in the 1930s, okay? And I lived in France. And when you reincarnate, it's really important to understand that you could live one life as a woman, but the next life you could be a man. It doesn't matter which gender you are right now. And for me in the 1930s, I was a woman, okay? I was an entertainer. And back then, there was no such thing as television. Back then, there was no TV shows or anything. So people had to come see you live. And I became very famous. Okay, and not only this, I had a really good upbringing as far as a child. I always had more than I needed with everything, whether it was love, whether it's being nurtured, encouraged, you know what I mean? I always had way more than what I needed. But from a very young age, I detached from my heart space, and I just got too much into my head as far as how am I able to manipulate other individuals. And then, like I say, I was an entertainer, and as I became more and more famous, instead of using this power as far as, you know, doing something to help out others and help empower others, help serve in a positive way, help influence others in a positive way, it got to my head. I wasn't grounded at the time, and it got to my head, and I was always looking at what are the sneakiest ways that I'm able to manipulate individuals every single time. And throughout that life, I was promiscuous. I had many partners, but I never felt love. I honestly never felt love, because I was always just living through my headspace. I was always seeing as, how can I get the most out of this person? How can I manipulate this person into doing things for me? So I took advantage of this fame, okay? I took advantage of this power that I had, and I treated certain individuals like shit. I really wasn't a good person. But what's important to understand is, each time before you reincarnate, you have a soul family. And each time before you reincarnate, you decide with them, what are the life experiences I want to have? What life lessons do I want to learn? Here, you're literally sitting there. You're like, hey, I want you to treat me like this, whether it's treating me like shit or treating me good. You pre-decide all these things. And right now, there's certain individuals in your life are not aware of this. Unless you're awakened at a certain stage, you're not going to be aware that that is why you're acting out like that. And that's the thing. That's why I really don't want you to judge anyone that I'm going to talk about in this video, because it is already something that I agreed with them prior to reincarnating. You see, and that's why in this from seeing how my last past life was, it allowed me to start realizing things about this life right here. About now, instead of receiving unconditional love, being encouraged and nurtured fully, now it was going to be the complete opposite. Now it's going to be, you're going to be raised, we're going to do tough love, we're not going to encourage you, and we're going to make it difficult for you. And it's the same thing. I have life lessons that I project onto them. Whether or not they ever become aware of this is completely up to them. And not only this, just when I started thinking about my 1930s life, and I just started thinking about, okay, I didn't bring forth the love of my life. I was really in my head and I wasn't in my heart space. You know what? Maybe it wasn't the right time for me to be awakened back then. In 1930, it wasn't the right time. Whereas now, by having gone through all these painful experiences, by having, had all these different life lessons, it's allowed me to remain grounded. It's allowed me to seriously move forward from my heart space. And now, use my power to help serve others. In my last lifetime, by manipulating other individuals, others were serving me. Well, now it's the complete opposite. It's how am I able to serve other individuals? And especially with how I'm serving now, it's by being kind, being loving, being compassionate, being empathetic towards others. That's the way now that I'm meant to serve. And that's what's wonderful is you're going to see. What I'm hoping is that this video is just going to trigger something from within inside you to start to discover of your past life experiences, start to discover what did you want to experience back then, and then it's going to allow you to discover what you want to experience in this life right here. And for me, up until that moment where I started to discover really at a deep level my past lives, okay, I was healing at an emotional level, and now it's like I've managed to heal at a soul level. And honestly, for the longest time, it's like I said, with my parents, I had a difficulty with my parents, with the upbringing I had. But now, having learned this life lesson, having finally discovered this, it's allowed me to once and for all forgive them, because it's like it's play that is going on. We already all discussed, we all already agreed this is how we were going to treat each other. These are the lessons that we were going to be giving each other. And not only this, it also allowed me to see that certain life lessons were more difficult than others because of how I felt on the inside, because of how my thoughts were. Well, I was being pessimistic. I was coming from a place of lack of self-love, lack of confidence, and therefore it made the experience come forth in a more painful way. But I'm going to tell you this, I'm eternally grateful for everything that I've lived through, because it's gotten me to this stage. It's gotten me to understand things at such a deep level. And for those of you who want to try to trigger this, ask your angels before you fall asleep. Talk to your higher self more and more, because that's what this experience has allowed me to do, is to strengthen that connection with my higher self, to gain a deeper understanding about life, about absolutely everything, see it from a completely different perspective. And as far as getting the information, and it came through over a period of time. It wasn't all instantaneously. And like I say, sometimes it was through dreams, sometimes it was through meditations, other times it was just a quick download, just all of a sudden I would get a vision. But I've also used tarot card readers in order to discover at a deeper level some of these things right here. And what I really encourage you to do, for those of you who are going to start using a tarot card reader, is just randomly pick different tarot card readers on YouTube and wait until something really resonates with you. Now, I don't just mean, oh my God, this person described my childhood exactly. No, you want to have those emotions come forth. You want to feel it in your heart space. You want to become emotional. When that happens, That's your angels and that's your guides letting you know this message is coming from us. And I'm telling you this, once you start to find a tarot card reader who's able to start to deliver messages to you. Now what's important is each time, even now, I have 4 different tarot card readers that I currently use, and they all have their own different purposes. I don't mix them up, you know what I mean? If one is about my personal life, one's about personal life, one's career, one is past life, it's past life, you know what I mean? I won't do 2 of the same readings whatsoever. But what you do is you ask your angels and your guides to deliver you a message through them. Because I'm telling you this, some of these individuals are incredibly powerful psychic mediums. They are able to connect with the angelic team, your angelic team. They're able to connect with spirit and bring forth a message. And what you'll see is you're not everything is always gonna match up. You're not gonna resonate with everything that they're going to say. But when you do get that, when you do become emotional, when you do feel that inside of you, that is what you're supposed to take from the reading. And you're going to see that the more you remain with the same readers for the longer period of time, the more deeper and more profound these messages are going to be. And you're going to see, and it's not something you can force. If there's something I want to emphasize as far as the spiritual awakening process, as many videos as you want to see as an example, how to open up your third eye, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen when it happens. All the answers are already within you. It's just like watching this video right now. I'm just trying to trigger something within you to remember about this. I'm not trying to teach you this. You already know this. I'm just trying to trigger something inside of you that's going to allow you to, for example, reconnect with your higher self. Therefore, being able to see these past lives that you have and being able to start to learn these very valuable life lessons. I can't even tell you how incredible I feel after having had this experience. I was healed at an emotional level. Now I'm healed at a spiritual level, and now it's aligning me more and more on my life's path. And that's why, since I've started this channel, no matter how slow the growth is, I'm not worried because I know that I'm on my path. I just feel it inside of my heart space. I know it within every inch of my body. All right, now for this second part. I know this video is going to drag on, but I'm telling you this, if you watch it till the end, it's going to trigger something within you. I'm telling you this, within, it could be days, weeks, or within months, something will trigger within inside of you. And I'm telling you this, it's like finding out every single answer you've ever hoped for, ever hoped for to get. Okay, but this part here, what I'm going to talk about is talking about ancestral karmic debt. Okay, and that's something, it just will come naturally. Okay, this just came to me completely naturally. It's discovering why I've had certain set limited beliefs and why my family has certain set limited beliefs. And once more, don't come from a place of judgment because we've already all agreed, okay? On a soul level, we already all agreed to have certain life experiences. But when it comes to ancestral karmic debt, I'm talking, this is centuries over centuries over centuries. I'm going back as far as my ancestors, going back to the medieval ages. This is going way back there. Okay? But it really helps to, I'm telling you this, when this is going to happen to you, it's really going to start to help you understand why you have certain beliefs right now. And for me, my ancestors, even now, we've always been ahead of our time. We've always thought outside the box. We've always felt ashamed to let ourselves be our authentic selves because it wasn't always accepted. And even now with certain things, it's just, example, my father and my brother have always been visionaries. You know what I mean? Like my father started a video store in the 1980s before Blockbuster blew up. He was ahead of his time. He was a decade ahead of his time. And it's the same thing with my brother. He's thought of many inventions. He hasn't followed through with them, but he's literally always been decades ahead of his time. And that's the thing with my ancestors. It was the exact same thing. What they were practicing was not evil. Witchcraft back then could be used for good, but could be used for evil. But that's what they were doing. They were practicing witchcraft. They were very powerful manifestors when it came to using earth materials, different types of herbs and plants and things of that nature. But back then it was seen as something evil. Therefore they were persecuted for it. Therefore they were tortured for it. Some of my ancestors were burnt for being considered to be too evil because they were witches, because they were misunderstood. And throughout my ancestor, throughout the different generations, people started to lose their lives over this. People lost all of their materialistic good. People fell into poverty. People fell into enslavement. You see, and what ends up happening is from one generation to another, there's like a soul imprint that gets put, that gets continued from one generation to another. And by having seen all these things, by having been told all these things, I was able to realize, okay, that's why I've always had a victim mentality. That's why I've always struggled in life to be successful, whereas I would become successful, but then something would come and take it away. That's why I've always been pessimistic. That's why I've always felt like there was a curse on my family. Not only that, that's why I've had to deal with depression the majority of my life. It was this karmic ancestral debt that was being brought forth, okay, that made me have that mentality, that made me have that upbringing, that made me have all these different experiences, and especially that made me have all these beliefs. But this one is a lot simpler than you think as far as reversing, going from leaving your children karmic debt to now having a karmic surplus. And that's why it's, once I found this out, it was absolutely incredibly powerful, because the way that I raised my son is completely the opposite of how I was raised. I was raised through tough love, not much encouragement. I had to fight for everything that I had. But now I understand that it's because everyone in my family had this victim mentality. And when you fall in that victim mentality, you're thinking, it's natural. You're just going to be thinking about your own survival. You're not going to be thinking about other individuals. But that's the thing, is once I had my son, even though at the time I was not aware of this, I raised my son completely different. And I'm telling you, this was my soul telling me, teaching me, showing me exactly how I should be with my son. And I was fortunate, I'll be honest with you, I was fortunate that I went out with a girl during college, and her mother taught me what it meant, taught me how to be a good parent, taught me how to be unconditionally loving, taught me how to nurture my son, taught me how to encourage him, you know what I mean, taught me how to help raise up his vibration, make him feel good, keep encouraging him to push forward. And now by doing this, and now by serving in the way that I'm serving, I am now reversing this ancestral, from being a karmic debt to now becoming a karmic surplus, because I've broken, you know what I mean, I've broken, how can I say this, like you can say I've broken the spell. Basically, I've completely cut off all those self-limited beliefs that were imprinted from generation to generation on a soul level, and now I've shifted that around to now raising my son out of positivity, raising my son out of unconditional love. Therefore, he's getting a karmic surplus, and now if he continues that way, he's going to be leaving his children a karmic surplus. And that's one thing that I've learned from my ancestors, is that we have always been very powerful manifestors, but it's just through all these painful experiences from one generation to another, getting persecuted, getting burnt alive, being tortured, being enslaved, all this pain that has gone on through one generation to another has created these self-limited beliefs. Therefore, we are always, even when I was young, I was always manifesting things in a negative way. I was always manifesting things, painful experiences, because that was the thoughts that I had. It was being pessimistic. It was being in that victim mentality. It was not feeling worthy as if I should receive it. But if you look at it, I was manifesting everything that I thought of. You know what I mean? It was my emotional well-being, was my vibrations were too low in alignment with my thoughts, but my thoughts were bringing forth what I actually wanted, you see. But now haven't been able to finally break this ancestral karmic debt, and now I'm beginning to leave my son a karmic surplus. Once more, you just heal at such a deeper level. You know, and then the other one's going to teach you life lessons as far as the direction you're going to go. But now, having erased this karmic debt and now having created a karmic surplus, now it's going to bring forth more joyful experiences. Now it's going to start to bring forth abundance on all levels. And I'm telling you this, whether you know how it's going to happen, when the timing is right, you will get these visions. When the timing is right, you are going to start to learn these valuable life lessons. And that's when you're really going to start to thrive, because you're going to understand things at such a deep level. You're going to be healing emotionally and on a soul level. And I'm telling you this, ever since I got these visions, ever since I made these discoveries, I could feel my bond with my soul growing more and more. And not only this, I can feel that there's less resistance as far as the guidance that I'm receiving. I'm starting to learn things at a much deeper level, and it's becoming easier and easier each and every single step of the way. Well, I'm going to cut the video there. I know that was been an extremely long video, but I'm really hoping that it's going to trigger something within inside of you, or make you realize a certain situation from a different perspective. And once more, don't judge anyone that I talked about, because we already all agreed to play out this play. We all agreed, here's our parts and this is what we're going to be doing. And maybe it's going to help you. Let's say if you've had a tough upbringing, if you have a difficult time connecting with your parents or with your loved ones, maybe this is going to help you. It's going to spark something within inside you, because right now, that's why I made this. Is the last month and a half, most of you have been inside. You know, you haven't had all these different outside interference. You've been able to think about things on a deep level. And I just feel that there's someone in that's going to watch this video, that's going to learn something from it, that it's going to trigger something, and it's going to allow them to empower them as far as how they're going to be able to move forward. Well, that's going to do it for the video. Get yourself out in nature, guys. There's no better feeling, especially now. It's starting to get nice out. Wherever you're able to, try meditating out in nature. I'm telling you this right now. I absolutely love to meditate out in nature. All right, you guys have an incredible day. I love you guys. Namaste.